Hey everybody, hopefully you're doing great. You've had an awesome time since we last spoke, which seems like quite a while ago, but hopefully you guys are tuning in today. And if you guys are, do me a favor, do the old YouTube thing and thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. Today I want to talk about the old saying, if you don't like it, then just leave. Well, if you don't like it, just get out of here. You hear it all the time. People say, well, that's the way it is. And that's the way, if you don't like it, you should just do your own thing. And I feel like there's a lot of merit in that statement most of the time. Specifically, I wanted to talk about YouTube in particular. YouTube, social media, big tech, right? You see that all the time. Well, if you don't like YouTube, then just get out of here. Just leave. You go make your own YouTube. Go do it, right? I kind of touched on that a little bit on the last video about, doing something about it, right? And I feel like there is... people talk about YouTube all the time, the censorship of YouTube. Well, I can't say this, or I have to self-censor this. And make no mistake, the idea of censorship on YouTube is a very real thing. The idea of being flagged as, some sort of, flagged for misinformation or flagged for whatever because YouTube doesn't deem it appropriate, right? Or fact checkers. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but what it has done is it's created a divide. Now, I do want to be realistic about it. The people that affects is a very, very small percentage of creators in the grand scheme of things. But there is a larger effect happening right now with Joe Rogan. And we've talked about Joe Rogan a few times in the past because Joe Rogan is probably the biggest story in news right now outside of the truckers up in Canada. And obviously there's the Olympics and, the pending war that may happen. But I'd say from a pop culture perspective, Joe Rogan is the big story. And, that comes down to censorship. The idea of, well, he's saying something that necessarily isn't the mainstream narrative, or maybe his guests aren't saying those things, or he's said something in the past that is not appropriate, right? And before I dig into the if you don't like it, leave thing, can I just say, The Rock, man, you are a giant pussy for being such a giant man of ego, toxic masculinity, of muscles and meat and steroids shot straight into your forehead. My God, like, man, you talk about learning from the best. As a man, as somebody who really enjoyed wrestling growing up, especially during the Attitude Era, watching The Rock say the most inappropriate things you could possibly say, and that's how he made his living. For him to come out and be like, oh, well, hey, good for Joe. Oh, shit, and then take a step back and do the flip-flop thing. Man, think about how people like him, John Cena, right, Vince McMahon, they all feed from the same trough. The idea, they went to the Vince McMahon school of make it till you break it. Good for them. It's that's what capitalism is, and I believe in capitalism. I think capitalism is a great thing. Obviously, it has its faults, just like any economic setting. But anyway, either way, it goes back to the if you don't like it, leave. Sorry, a little Rock diatribe there. If you smell what I'm cooking, right, Rock? Anyways, let me take a step back. So if you don't like it, leave. You hear that all the time, and people talk about with YouTube. And, well, there's Rumble now. Rumble offering Joe Rogan $100 million. You see how, this web all ties together. Joe Rogan, Rock, blah, 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 alternatives and such. I feel like there are other alternatives, but they're certainly not taken as seriously as YouTube. When you are the number 2 search engine in the world by the company that owns you, Google, it's very hard to step away from that. People have made careers off of their time on YouTube. And I think that's, many thousands, tens of thousands of people have made their careers off YouTube. They've gone from relative nobodies to somebodies. And I think that's phenomenal. Once again, it goes back to the capitalistic nature of the things. People saw an opportunity, they filled a hole that needed to be filled. They found them entertaining, and they made a living, and they built these subscribers. Now, people talk about the need for an alternative, right? And once again, you have Odyssey, you have Rumble and various other outlets, but none's really sunk in. No one's really grabbed the talons of YouTube, and I feel like Rumble's kind of scratching, but from a pure viewership standpoint, Rumble is so far drastically behind YouTube. And they said the same thing about Facebook a long time ago with MySpace, when MySpace was the king of social medias. And so I certainly don't think that just because the way things are now is the way things are going to be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I mean, MySpace is the ultimate story of that, where they got too complacent and then they ended up making a few bad decisions and they're gone. But I would love to see that if people are truly, truly upset, I don't know if this has been done before. Maybe it has, maybe it's been attempted, but if it hasn't been done, and I don't know about it in my world, it hasn't been tried. So it hasn't been tried with me. I would love to see a YouTube or Big Tech Independence Day happen. And I realize that I'm telling you this on YouTube, but I think that there should be some sort of organized effort to where instead of a single, and whether that's Rumble, Odyssey, pick any sort of, it can be any outlet. That thing about YouTube is that there's so much content, so many creators on one platform that it's a Swiss Army knife of content where you can find truly anything. People learn on YouTube. They are entertained on YouTube. They create on YouTube. It's everything. And but we haven't found that outlet that serves as an alternative to YouTube, a true alternative where people are creating exclusively for that. And we haven't seen a major creator make that jump. We've had, I know that some creators have tried, but it's like YouTube is a part of daily life. But if we can put a line in the sand, and I'm not saying, I'm not giving you a date, but I'm just saying maybe there is a day in the future where a large group of creators let their audience know several months in advance that, hey, I'm going to be migrating my content over here, right? Not you can also find my content here. No, my content will be found here, right? And you give people 3 months lead, and you slowly let people know over the course of the 3 months that, hey, I'm going to be making my way here. And it's not just one creator, it's 100 creators, 500 creators, 10,000 creators who are looking, who are tired, who, if you don't like it, just should leave. And it goes back to the idea of being you're only as good as your word, right? And I feel like so many people say, well, I would leave. Well, I would do it if there was only an alternative. Well, there are alternatives out there. It's just a matter of you putting your flag in the sand and or in the dirt or whatever the saying is, and really going after it and doing it. Going based off your beliefs. If that's truly how you believe, then act on it. I think that'd be really, really fascinating to see. Now, in the grand scheme of things, will that create a major revolt or any sort of change on YouTube's side? I don't know. Probably not. I think what we're moving towards is probably a society of people who are fine with the way things are now, and a large group of people that are fine with the way things were 2 years ago. And I to be clear, I think the group that is fine with the way things are now is a very, very small percentage of the grand scheme of things, right? If you are fine with the way things have been the last couple of years with, the censorship of big tech, the lockdowns, the overwhelming big government creeping over you worldwide, okay, that's fine. You must be in utopia right now. But I think the vast majority of people don't feel that way. I like the idea of a new normal doesn't sit well with a lot of people. So I think a lot of people want to take a step back 2 years. It's not a matter of nostalgia. It's a matter of just feeling okay about their situation and embracing liberty and freedom. Can I take us another step back real quick? I have well, of course I can. I'm talking to you. Whatever. If you want to tune out, you can. By the way, talking about the capitalism and the free market and all that stuff, like people unsubscribe to my channel every time I post a video because I'm not talking about gaming content, right? They signed up for my channel because they wanted to see me talk gaming content. Now I'm talking about things that I want to talk about, things that are on my mind. This is kind of therapeutic for me, right? I enjoy sharing my thoughts with you guys, and I enjoy reading the comments every few days. I think it's really fun. But this is me, right? And this has always been me. There was someone who made a really great comment. He's like, I really enjoyed, you talking about games, but I really enjoy this new Craig. And my response was like, well, this has been Craig the entire time. I've never changed. I've just always talked about games and stuff. But it's been really interesting to see, how people have really been scrapping and clawing to keep this this thing going the last 2 years. I just feel like if you were to come to Texas, and it's crazy to say this because if you were to come to Texas, life is pretty normal, right? Life is, not a whole lot of masks. There aren't really many mandates. Really, the mandates come in when you fly. You got to wear a mask on a plane, right? But for the most part, things are pretty normal. No one's asking for any vaccine passports. It feels like February 2020, right? Before things hit the fan in March. But when you go to a place like Chicago or New York, and by the way, this is based off of other people's accounts because I have not been to those places, but I have friends and people I work with that have been to these places, and by their accounts, it's an entirely different world than what we live in down here, based off of the rules, the laws, the mandates, whatever it may be, for those individual cities and states. So honestly, I feel incredibly lucky. And you see people flocking to states like Texas and Florida, the quote unquote free states, from places like California, New York, because if they don't like it, they leave, right? See, we're tying it all in. But they're doing something about it. Now, obviously, the fear from a Texan perspective or a Floridian perspective is that people who are coming down from New York or California, they forget why they left there to begin with. But you hear so many people that have moved down from different places, and they're legitimately shocked at how different it is in Texas. And that's firsthand. Just talking with people who have moved from other, Washington and Seattle and different places where it's literally an entirely different world. Now, there are thousands and thousands of miles separating us from those coasts. But when people come down here, our hope is that they embrace it. They embrace the Texan lifestyle, the idea that, we can go to restaurants and not have to worry about putting our mask on to walk 10 feet to sit down because COVID is between here and here, but not as soon as you sit down, right? And that's really refreshing. But the hope is that the people who didn't like it and then left, leave the things that they didn't like behind. And that's hopefully the goal with any sort of big tech exodus as well. If you decide to leave YouTube, you leave the censorship or whatever rules you didn't like behind. If you decide to leave Twitter or Facebook and you go for another platform, you leave the things that you didn't like behind. If you don't like it, do something about it. And that's the kind of the long-winded message that I've been thinking about quite a bit in the last little bit. And that, by the way, that goes for any walk of any part of your life. If you don't like your job, leave. Do something about it. If you don't like your girlfriend or your boyfriend, guess what? You can leave. It's okay. There are other opportunities out there, financially, professionally, romantically, right? And it'll work out. I've heard that so many times that, people have been in, just from a personal perspective, romantic perspective, and partnership perspective, people have been in relationships where they have had horrible relationships. They've been berated by their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they really feel like trash. Well, they can leave, but at the end of the day, why people don't leave is because they're scared. They're scared to leave. They're scared to leave YouTube. They're scared to lose their audience. They're scared to leave Twitter. They're scared to leave their followers. They're scared to leave their job. They're scared to lose that income. They're scared to leave their girlfriend. Sex. But at the end of the day, you can do it. You can do it. If you really don't like it, you can leave. It's okay. You can do it. And that's it for the day. 15 minutes of fun. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, I know that these videos are long, they're rambling, and but hopefully you get some sort of message out of them. These are just the things that I'm thinking about, and I know that I go off crazy tangents along the way, but I really enjoy being allowed to talk to you guys and sharing what's going on in my crazy brain. Be good to each other, guys. Remember, people are going to try to bring you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal? Go get it. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And if you're new, subscribe, because most people unsubscribe after watching me talk. See you guys later. Have a great day. And share this video with your friends if anybody's going through tough times. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye. Talk soon.